It starts in the 60s, and this kind of, it's almost a kind of commune-y feel to this flat that you share.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's so relevant to today. You know, there's 7 students who are all studying very different subjects at university. They're sort of thrown together, I suppose, into this sort of, I don't know how to explain it. But
a melting pot.
Yeah, a melting pot.
But it's engineered by Sam's character Jack, really, because he's the one who owns the flat. His dad's bought it for him, and he decides to sort of construct some sort of social experiment by choosing, you know, a group of people who never would be friends in everyday life, and putting them into this house and seeing what happens.
And one of the themes that develops, Claire, your character particularly epitomises this, is the idea that people they go to university and they take on a whole different persona.
Yeah.
So you're at home, you're, you know, with mum and dad and being rather, you know, delightful, and then literally in the car as you're going to university, you literally change your clothes and take on a whole new character.
Well, I think Charlotte comes from a kind of very post-war 1950s English traditional family, which isn't all it seems. It's not perfect, and she knows that. And she's got into university. She's got 2 older brothers, so that's very unlikely anyway. And she wants to kind of embrace life and start, you know, and it's so exciting to go to university and learn and have a choice. And I think that's what I felt when I was reading the script that Paula wrote anyway, that it's such an exciting period of your life, and even more exciting because it's in the 60s, and, you know.
So much political change, isn't there?
Yeah.
Obviously at that time. But I suppose, you know, it's almost what you were saying is, as a parent, you can be watching it, thinking, when our children go off to university, it's sometimes like they're going to a different planet. You know, and there are moments in this first episode where parents come to visit and say, "Can I just have a word? We need to talk about
what's going on?"
Which, as you say, is as relevant today.
Well, I think the great thing about all 7 of these characters, they all kind of hold some sort of secret from their parents. You know, like students today who don't phone their mums every evening. But like it is, you know, obviously it's more difficult back in those days with, you know, the lack of technology that we have today to keep in touch with your parents. So the parents do come down wanting to know what is going on behind these sort of
and also it's like they're like the first sort of teenagers as well, so they're doing stuff their parents never would have done. So they're completely breaking boundaries, wearing clothes they never would have worn, you know, getting up to all manner of things.
Can I just start sparing your blushes, and we can see the sort of lineup of this young British cast there. People are saying you bunch are pretty special. You must know lots of things are being said. You know that there's a particularly rich seam of acting talent, and lots of them are in this programme. Claire, you know, lots been said about you. It's a strange kind of person to carry around in a way, isn't it? I mean, feel it a little bit.
No, not for me personally. But I mean, to work with all 6, the other 6, especially, was truly such a privilege. I mean, all 6 of them are so talented in so many different ways, and have so many great things happening for them. You know, even after we finished filming on that. So it's exciting, kind of, to see the 6 of them all growing. You know, and luckily we've all been quite lucky with work since we have finished. So.
And the whole point of the series is that of course, it starts in the 60s, but then moves through the decades, and then, you know, at the beginning, there's obviously a sort of tension being set up between what happened then and what happens in the present day. And then your characters are played by some pretty spectacular actors as well, aren't they?
I know,
later on.
Ludicrous.
So Claire, who do you become?
Juliet Stevenson. I can't believe it. It is amazing, amazing. And, you know, they had a really interesting job, I think, because we'd all been working for weeks and weeks and weeks, and they came in and had to play these characters who had such a history together, and it's amazing to watch them, because we weren't involved in any of their scenes at all. It's amazing to watch those scenes.
So they sort of watched what you'd done and then tried to reflect your characters at an older age. How did that work?
I don't know, actually. I don't know how they managed it, but I mean, from what I have seen with you know, I've only seen episode 1 and 2 so far, so I'm kind of excited to learn more about what kind of goes on. You know, seeing the black and white pages kind of come to life, because I mean, just from what I've seen of the younger cast as well doing their stuff, you know, which obviously I wasn't involved in. It's kind of very exciting. But
and as actors, I suppose when you look ahead to those actors playing you, if you have a career like that, you'll be happy, won't you?
Gosh.
It's a nice look into the future.
Be nice.
Well, it's great to see you.
No, thank you
very
so
much indeed.
Cheers.
And you can